hi. So now we are going to go on to subsidies. So for your subsidy diagram, you need to know firstly what a subsidy is. So when you have a subsidy, you need to know that this actually decreases your cost of production because the subsidy is given to the producer. So a subsidy is going to decrease cost of production, and as a result, we know that this is a supply factor, correct? So my supply is going to increase. So ultimately, this is just an increase in supply diagram. Let us draw that. And we have, just remember, even though we come across subsidies in macroeconomics as well, ultimately, a subsidy can only be given to a producer for one good or one type of good. So this is still a microeconomic analysis because you are just drawing the diagram for one market, okay? So our demand does not change, okay? Subsidy cannot affect demand. Subsidy can only affect supply because my subsidy is given to my producers. So as a result of their lowered cost of production, they are more willing and able to sell a particular good, and so my supply is going to increase from S naught here. I'm going to increase my supply over here, shift the supply curve rightwards, and supply is going to increase to S1. Now, for your subsidy diagram, when you're writing this out in prose, there is no need to go through the rigorous market adjustment process because the focus for the analytical rigor here is going to be the rigor for the effects of the subsidy, and most importantly, how the subsidy affects consumers, producers, efficiency, etc. Okay, so we can go ahead and label first our initial price and quantity. So this is our initial market equilibrium. So this is going to be P naught, E naught, and Q naught. Now, usually when we're just drawing a simple shift in supply diagram, right? Usually I will just draw my new quantity up here, right? And then extend it leftwards to the price line. But for the subsidy diagram, similar to for the text diagram, I'm going to extend it further. I'm going to extend it upwards all the way until it touches this S naught. Why, you will be able to appreciate it shortly. And then I'm going to rotate. Let us draw the new price line first. So this new price is going to be P1. So P1 is the new price that consumers pay, okay? And then if I draw one additional price line here to touch the S0 curve, different answer keys and different tutors may label this particular price differently, but I'm going to label it as P1 plus S, 1 plus the subsidy. Okay, so now let's come here, okay? The new quantity is going to be Q1, as you can see here. So what are the immediate effects of a subsidy? The immediate effects of a subsidy are that firstly, my consumer price has decreased from P0 to P1. So P1 is the new consumer price. Okay? So this is the price that consumers pay. So if consumer price decrease, this means that my consumer surplus has increased or decreased. Obviously, it has increased. So this is the first effect of the subsidy that you need to be aware of. Let's just label this number 1. Next, P1 plus S here. Okay, this is a very, very common point of confusion. P1 plus S is the amounts per unit that the producer collects. So therefore, this means that my producer surplus increases or decreases. It also increases. This is the second effect of a subsidy. So the total subsidy given is going to be denoted by this particular area here. This particular rectangle in yellow is my total subsidy. So I'm just going to label this point as A and this point as E1. So this yellow rectangle, okay, which is P1 plus S, A, E1, P1, this rectangle is the total amount of subsidy given. And why is this? Because remember, any amount, whether it's revenue or tax or subsidy, is just P times Q, price times quantity. So what is the value of subsidy per unit? It's just here, right? AE1, this is my subsidy per unit. So do you see how I take my subsidy per unit, this vertical distance, and then I multiply it by the quantity that I trade from here all the way to Q1. So therefore, price times quantity, the total area of this, which is the area of the rectangle, gives me my total subsidy given. Okay, and then among this is the interesting part I want to show you. My initial producer surplus is where? My initial producer surplus, I'm going to use this red pen over here as a laser pointer, so try to follow my red pen. Okay, my initial producer surplus, I know I'm not drawing it to touch the axis, you don't have to, but the initial producer surplus is where? This bottom rectangle here, right, below the price line, the one that I'm tracing out now. But because now producers are collecting this amount and trading this quantity, my producer surplus is now a larger rectangle, here, here, here. So this blue area that I'm about to shade for you now, this entire trapezium over here, this is my gain in producer surplus. Okay, now let's look at consumer surplus. Consumer surplus is the triangle on top, right? So initially, consumers were paying price P naught, buying quantity Q naught. So my rectangle, triangle, I mean, I know I haven't drawn it as a triangle, but it is a triangle. It's just this triangle here that I'm tracing out now. Okay? And then where is my new consumer surplus? My new consumer surplus, this is the new price line, new quantity, trace the demand curve. It is this triangle here. So just remember, producer surplus, you take the price line, you take the quantity line, and then you trace the supply curve. That's how I get my three sides of my triangle. Then how do I get the three sides of my consumer surplus triangle? I take my price line, I take my quantity line, and my last side of the triangle is my demand curve. So you see how we get the two triangles now? So therefore, this orange area over here is my increase in consumer surplus. So consumer surplus will increase, producer surplus will also increase. And then you might be wondering, so if my yellow area is my total subsidy, some of it is used to increase consumer surplus, some of it is used to increase producer surplus, then what about this triangle here? You see that this triangle here actually doesn't go anywhere. It's not used to benefit producers, it's not used to benefit consumers. So this triangle is simply dead weight loss or welfare loss. So this dead weight loss, if you recall, occurs in your tax diagram as well. But out of my total tax revenue collected, which is also a rectangle, some of it is lost because it's not used to benefit everybody. So this is the net welfare loss, not just to the market for this good, but to society. And the term that we like to associate with dead weight loss or welfare loss is allocative inefficiency. So we will come across this concept of welfare loss and allocative inefficiency a lot later on in market failure. Okay, so I think that I've pointed out everything important that I need to point out for the subsidy diagram, but just as an extension for yourself to figure out, we know that the initial revenue, which is also price times quantity, is just going to be this rectangle here, right? O, P naught, E naught, Q naught. Can you tell me in this diagram where is my new producer revenue? Something to think about. I'll let you pause the video here if you want to think about it. And the answer is, it's still just price times quantity. So where is my new quantity? Q1. And where is my new price that the producers collect? Is P1 plus S. So my new producer revenue is this rectangle here. Can? Okay, I think that's it for the subsidy diagram. Thank you and goodbye.